Hi. Thank you for coming on to this episode of our podcast. We're here with Brett, who is an influential person here in Austin. He does multiple things from real estate, from STR, HOA, residential, and commercial management. Just want to thank you for jumping on to this podcast episode. Brett, how's your day going?
It's been pretty good. Just got here late. Apologize again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got here late because some meetings took a little longer than expected.
Yeah.
But they were good meetings, and sometimes that's what's required.
Yeah, definitely agree. So let's just jump right into it. What you're most known for, at least what I know you for, which is Freedom Festival. That's when you first popped up in my radar. Can you tell us a little bit about the Freedom Festival you had this last year or this year?
Yeah, so it's an annual festival we put together in 30 days this year, 25 days of marketing. But we have really A players across the board to put together something like this. It's at the Austin Guitar Pool every year. We have a slew of nonstop entertainment from camels, horses, helicopter rides, all kinds of different games, gambling. The pool itself is modeled after the Hummingbird guitar, the Gibson, and it fits about 125 to 130 people, but the property itself can fit 500 plus. So we had about 500 plus people there. Probably could have gone a little larger, but given the short notice that we decided to do it on, because putting together an event is a lot of work. Each of us, the people involved, have our own companies, so we decided to put it together last minute.
If I may ask, what brought you guys to do it? Like what made you guys, what motivated or what inspired you guys to do this festival?
Yeah, it's because it's a lot of fun. Back end wise, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And most people just go to a place and they're like, oh, this is a cool party, but don't realize how much goes into it on the back end.
Yeah.
You got to coordinate a lot of different types of individuals depending on how many different vendors you have. But what really drove us to do it is just, it wasn't about the money. You know, all of us make pretty good money doing other things. It was more or less that we just like to have a good time and want to share with other people as well.
Yeah.
So
speaking about you guys, it was not just you, it was multiple people. Could you speak on, or could you elaborate, who exactly was a part of making this festival?
Yeah, it's 3 in total. One was Nick with Explore ATX. He's one of our big marketing guys.
Okay, it was him.
Yeah. And then Scott is the owner of Austin Guitar Pool. And then me, which I own a management company, and I do commercial real estate as well on the brokerage side. And so Scott's been a long-time client, and he's starting to get to the point where he wants to kind of sell off all of his assets and just have a good time.
Okay.
So got to convince him. He convinced me to do it. Is actually a better way to put it, because I didn't really want to get involved because I know how much work it is. But he knows if I'm in on it, then it's assured to be good.
Okay. Do you plan to do one next year?
Yeah, we're actually planning to go anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 people over multiple days.
Okay, so you're looking to do something similar to ACL.
Not quite ACL. ACL is 400,000 plus people.
But you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I would say it's more or less on the lines of, Willie Nelson's kind of getting out of. He used to throw an annual event out here in Austin, and as he gets older, he's starting to move away from that. So we're almost hitting the market at a perfect time.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Willie Nelson did that.
Yeah, he did.
What was it called?
I forget off the top of my head, but he had anywhere from 10,000 to 40,000 people, maybe even more, because he owns a huge property, I think, out in Spicewood.
Oh, okay.
He hosted a huge festival every year.
Did you go?
I have never been, but I ran in close circles with Willie. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I never met the guy, but one of my, I guess, early on mentors was very, very close with Willie.
Okay.
Oddly enough.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. A goal of mine is to meet Willie Nelson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still Willie Nelson. Who else? Snoop Dogg, of course, because I'm originally from California. And then the big one is Gary Vee.
It's funny. I've met Gary Vee.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how was that? How was meeting Gary Vee?
Well, it's more of a guy's day.
Yeah.
I don't really get starstruck.
Yeah.
I've never been one of those types of individuals because I'm around those types of individuals pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was actually a year ago. Gary Vee's a cool guy. He's actually just a normal dude.
Yeah.
We were just at a mansion playing basketball, tennis, pickleball, all the different things you could possibly imagine, just having like a good old bros day.
Like a bro.
Yeah, we had some drinks, of course, talked a little bit, but nothing crazy. Just mainly focused on sports and being competitive was what it was at the end of the day.
Yeah. Which makes sense, especially for him as a person.
Yeah, well, when you're a big guy, I mean, I'm not big, but I do run some companies, so I know unplugging is kind of important. And when you go and you want to have fun, you don't want to talk that much business sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless something really sparks a business conversation, just focus on the game.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. I've been on a couple company kind of trips, and that's the last thing anybody wants to ever talk about is work. Yeah. But to bring it back to the Freedom Festival, there's two things that struck me. It's one, the camels. Where do you get even camels from?
Yeah, so Joan Marie, she has a ranch out in Lockhart. Very sweet lady. Wasn't cheap, but she gave us a little bit of a deal because she saw the ability to work with us in the future, which, being young relatively to most individuals who are starting companies or own companies, there's more, we have a lot more runway to work with.
Okay.
And so we got, I think it was 4 horses and 2 camels. And she was going to bring her kangaroos too.
Kangaroo?
Yeah, but those are that was a daytime decision.
Okay.
Because they're a little more finicky. They're really good with people, but they're a little more finicky.
Do you plan to bring them on this next festival?
Yeah, that way we have more time to prepare. Yeah, we got some big ideas for this next one.
I asked because I'm definitely going to be there.
Okay.
So I love animals, so like if you got kangaroos.
We also had baby goats there.
I love the baby goats.
Oh, I'll tell you this, a cheat code in college for any people who are listening. Everyone can get a dog, but if you have a baby goat, you'll have endless supply of girls coming up to you. You don't even need game at that point.
Yeah. Barton Springs is very good with the goats. I don't know if you ever been to Barton Springs, like the trails.
I'm from Austin, so I've been to Barton Springs plenty of times.
Yeah, they have the goats cutting the grass or the clean.
I haven't been in a long time, I will say that.
Yeah.
I'm on the west side of Austin now, so
Gotcha.
I'm not in the mix as much when it comes to downtown.
So if I remember correctly, at the Freedom Festival, you guys had the horses come out during the anthem.
National anthem, yes.
The national anthem. Yeah. How was that, and how did you coordinate it?
The most difficult part was more or less just ensuring that the horses were comfortable. But that's a lot of Joan Marie's. The person who brought the horse, that's more of her job to handle.
Yeah.
She knows the emotions and so on and so forth. Now, these horses are very specialized in being able to go to large events.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't that too difficult. The only thing that was difficult is that one of the horses after the national anthem took a shit on the lawn.
Oh.
But we have good staff, and someone immediately picked it up while I was running to manage the helicopter, because the helicopter was landing at the same time.
Yeah.
Once the national anthem was over, the helicopter landed.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
So I was running to manage that because that's our biggest liability during the event.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would think like the horses, just because, one, I have a lot of friends. One, I'm from up north. A lot of people, farmers and stuff, they have animals like horses, and they can be sensitive to noise and stuff like that. So
they can be, but these ones are more specialized sorts of events.
Yeah,
she wouldn't bring out her, just normal ranch horse. These are ones that are used to events and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
Yeah. So the biggest liability for us during that time was the helicopter.
And people were able to ride the helicopter?
Yeah, we actually sold tickets to individuals who had rides. And we gave a few free rides just because, all right, why not?
I saw, what's his name? The one that runs ATX Explorer. Nick. I saw he got his license for...
I don't know if he got his license, but he did something with Trinity Aviation.
Oh, okay. Which, I thought he got a license for it.
He may be. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I was about to say, did he fly the helicopter?
Not at the event. We had this guy had been a veteran for, 30 plus years, and he's like crashed helicopter. He's a seasoned vet, so that's why we got him, because I'm like, I don't want any problems. I don't need extra problems that I already have right now. Yeah. So and his name's Greg, good guy, awesome guy. I give him a lot of business too.
Oh, okay, nice. And then I saw you guys had a lot of exotic cars, like Corvettes and
Lamborghinis, Ferraris,
Yeah.
And then some McLarens, and then someone else just brought some other stuff.
Okay, and like, did people get to ride them, or like, were they just there for like kind of for the aesthetic of the event?
Yeah, they're more there for the aesthetic of the event.
Okay.
People like pictures with them.
Mhm.
I mean, those are expensive cars.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've contemplated the idea where you can go drive one
Mm-hmm.
because we know a couple exotic rental car companies out here where they're open to that idea.
Yeah.
We didn't want to add more problems to our plate in a short period of time. Now, I can't say what may happen next year, but
Yeah.
I can say that the idea has been floated.
Oh, okay. Well, I do hope, because that would be super cool to get in a Ferrari.
Yeah, I'll tell you this.
Even as a passenger, I would say.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you this. During one of our content creation shoots, my brother got to drive a dream car,
What was that?
a Lamborghini Huracan.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah. So the content shoots are a lot of fun too. There's a lot of prep work for the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a lot of fun too, because they'll come out. They know they're going to get a lot of views on, so they'll come out for free, and then we do some other fun stuff. Like the horses got in the pool during one of those content shoots.
Okay.
So a lot of people thought, like, as the horses were walking by for the national anthem, they're going to get in the pool, and I'm like, that's just too much. It's too much liability.
Yeah.
During an event, but during a content shoot, we have a lot more leeway.
Yeah, because there's no one around. It's a controlled environment.
It's a controlled environment, yeah. It's not that there's not anyone around. Usually about 20 to 50 people there. It's a lot of fun too.
And when you're brainstorming these events, like how do you guys come up with like those ideas? Like, oh, it'd be cool to have the horse jump in.
Some of it is just in the moment,
Yeah.
and other parts of it is we just brainstorm so well. Sometimes alcohol's involved. Sometimes it's not, but we just try to have no limits when we set aside brainstorming for 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Just no limits. How crazy can we get?
Yeah. And how do you decide like what's over the limit?
Insurance.
Insurance. Okay.
Insurance is what kind of draws us back in.
And what does insurance look like for that? Like, how do you like one? I don't even know. Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's insurance and then the wives.
The wives?
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to get too crazy. I'm like, well, we do. And then we figure out, well, insurance accepts it. So, or the girlfriends, the wives of the girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, insurance is a big piece of it. I would say the largest piece. Because a number of things go wrong that day. And someone breaks their neck or something, or someone gets hurt. We're all getting sued.
Have you had that?
Not yet, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
But
Knock on wood.
But it's never an if thing. It's always a when thing. Some point, it's going to happen. Could be on the 100th time. Could be on the 1,000th time. But could be the first time.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So we just talk to our insurance guy who's very intelligent and just make sure that, hey, we covered here. Hey, we covered here. Hey, we're doing this. Just keep it in communication. Or they're like, oh, well, you could do that. It's going to cost you another 1,000. I'm like, maybe not. Yeah.
You have Freedom Festival at this iconic, I would call it iconic Austin spot now. Like I've been living here for over a year. I've kind of seen it pop up multiple times. The Austin guitar shaped pool. Like
Austin guitar pool.
Yeah, Austin guitar pool. Thank you for correcting me. Like how did you find that real estate or that spot, and how did you start to develop that relationship with the owner of it?
Yeah, so me and the owner actually met at a party.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know, a little bit of networking for people who need to know how to network. Going to parties, but going to the right parties, like exclusive, going to places where, the really rich people aren't going to go to your 6th Streets.
Yeah.
Why? They get invited to mansions. They get invited to exclusive stuff. So not saying you should party a little bit, but you shouldn't make it your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you should not go to the common areas that everyone else goes to. You should go to places where, it's $100 a ticket? I'd rather spend my money on that than spend $100 downtown on 6th Street where you're with a bunch of the day-to-day people.
Yeah.
No offense to day-to-day people, but if you want to grow fast, it only takes one relationship to change your life.
Yeah.
And so I met Scott probably about 4 years ago, And we started talking for a year, and then I signed his property on for short-term rental purposes, and then eventually I changed his mind that events and weddings would make more sense. And so we shifted gears towards events and weddings. And then over that course, we have a relationship now. I was actually just talking to him this morning where we can get into more crazier ideas. Because he knows, at some point, all right, you do good work. He's a hardworking guy, yada, yada. They're willing to push it a little bit more and keep pushing a little bit more. As long as things don't go wrong, these guys are open.
Yeah, you move that line a little bit more.
The line gets moved a little bit more.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into some crazy stuff. So,
are these crazy stuff going to be happening this upcoming year or in the next coming year?
Yeah, this 4th of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something that we can keep an eye out for.
Yeah, Freedom Fest will be
where everything
anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 people.
Okay. And then speaking about that, because this isn't our first time recording. This is like our second time, kind of a redo. I remember you mentioned exclusive events. How do you find those? Because they don't just pop up on like your Facebook or your Instagram. If somebody is one that wants to grow, either they want to run a consulting business where they work with like high up individuals and kind of consult them on like what they're going to be doing with their property or developments of construction buildings, or someone that wants to just network with higher class or higher up income people. How do you find that? How do you find those events?
Yeah, some of it is serendipitous, just a happy accident. Yeah. Other things are just like, okay, I meet one person. Luckily, we're in the digital age. You can go on Posh. There's some higher class events. Not all of them are. Posh does have some.
That's POSH?
POSH, yeah. I was actually just with one of the Posh individuals last weekend.
Okay, I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a newer app. There's also other apps too. Eventbrite's more common. Posh is starting to make its wave into being a dominant force. I think it will be in due time.
Okay.
There's two ways to go about it, right? You can go through the digital and just find and just select. But whenever you're at an event too, let's say you go to a $10 event, right? Try to figure out who the players are. If you're just going there just to party and have a good time and not really understanding like who's running this. Because the people who are running it, they may or may not be there, but there's always somebody close to them that's there. Find out who that is, talk with them, build rapport over time. And they'll be like, oh, we got this mansion party we're going to. Cool. Then when you go there, build rapport. It may take a year or two to find out where you're really headed with it. But networking is not like an overnight thing, just like companies are not an overnight thing.
It's a process.
Yeah. But if you do it unintentionally, or if you do it without thought, and you just go and party, it's like, okay, just wasted $10. But you go to a party, spend $100, and you do it like, okay, who's the guys that you know here? If you make 1 or 2 or 3 good contacts, you make 1, great, you've got your money's worth. If you made 3, fantastic, you've got more than your money's worth. And that's how I've always kind of done it. Is just I'll spend the higher dollar ticket in order to at least meet 1 high quality contact. And
how do you determine if they're high quality contact?
That's something only you can determine.
Only you?
Yeah, okay. Because everyone's business is different. But the truth is, even if they're not in your industry, they know other people. Yeah, and if they like you and they invite you to another party or to hang out or to have discussions or business meetings, you never know where something could take you.
Yeah. And how did you get into this business? Like you run multiple businesses, but like one of the first ones was real estate.
Yeah, I got into it from one of my friends actually, who's now on his way to make a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
He's not in real estate anymore, but real estate's a good foundational tool.
If I may ask, what is he in now?
He sold his washer and dryer company. He's leasing washer and dryers to apartment complexes, and then now he's in storage containers.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good business on that.
It's great business, rental business, and you keep the asset.
So he got you into it, and how did you know? Like, because a lot of people, they either they're in a career or start a business, and they don't know if like that's for them. Like, how did you determine, like, yeah, that this is for me?
I think too many people think about this is for me.
You think so? Why is that?
I don't think it really matters.
Expand.
It's because I have larger visions than just being in real estate. But what does real estate allow me access to?
What is that?
Very cool properties, very rich people to go do other big things. I didn't come from a wealthy family. My family's done well for themselves, but I'm not from like a, Ivy League school or where I'm getting into whatever college. First thing most people I think don't understand is just access.
I do agree with you on that. One of the reasons why I do the podcast is for that, the access, like to speak with interesting individuals, but also people with a lot of access to other people that may be interested in it, connecting with.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, people like always want to find their purpose or their soul passion. I like this Japanese term. It's like ikigai.
I just finished that book.
Yeah, I've known it for a while, which I enjoy it because it's not always like you can do your passion on the side, right?
Yeah.
Do you need to do podcast 24/7? No.
It's more on the side.
It could be full blown one day, but then you'll get bored and you'll want to do something else.
Yeah.
Right. So like passions also come in waves. Like next year I may love painting. I might love chess. I may love, I think passions fade.
Yeah.
More than people think they do.
And to further explore that, like what was your take on Ikigai?
My take is, blending. I think the whole notion is blending passion with money, what produces the highest result for society, right? I take it a little bit differently. I took it as what's setting you up for your next thing.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't think too methodically. They think they get into business, and that's the only business they're going to ever own or ever do, and they want to make this the only thing they ever own or ever do. Why? We live in a limitless world.
Yeah.
Why limit yourself or put yourself in a box? You may find out 5 years from now that you're really good at something that you never even knew about until X, Y, and Z happened.
Yeah.
So I looked at it as more of an access point.
Okay.
And will I always own a real estate company? Probably. Can't say 100%, but probably.
Yeah, and I love that because that's how I view life right now. Just like what gives me opportunity, but like I don't want to put myself in one box because I'm still trying to figure out like what else am I good at.
And most people takes them a long time to find out what they're actually really, really good at. But it doesn't mean you should stop and wait for that thing to hit you in the face. You should continue on.
Yeah, I was telling him behind the computers that people can't see. Like I did coding. I learned coding. I learned a bunch of other things. Like I learned sales. I started jumping on sales calls. I started doing consulting just to try and see like where do my skills end, or like where do I hit my kind of like my ceiling. And so it's always good. I always like trying different things and like putting myself in like uncomfortable situations.
And as you should. I mean, you know the game RuneScape?
I love RuneScape. I grew up on that.
I grew up on that too. So I always try to max out every conceivable skill.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes, you go get strength to 90. It's like, all right, what's the other 9 points going to do for me? Maybe I should focus on herbology or something else. Like what are those other, so I've always had a fascination with different skill sets. And obviously sales is a huge one. Like you can't talk to people. You're never going to get anything done. Yeah. Can't inspire somebody, never get anything done. But that doesn't mean I'm not also good at technical work. And I think a lot of technical people too, they only look, I'm only good at technical because I'm an introvert. No, everything's a skill developed. You can develop social skills.
Yeah.
They are.
Everything in life can be developed. Like if you want to, like for me, like right now I'm training for a marathon. I've done.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's hard work. But
It's my second marathon.
Okay.
So I participated in one, and I remember a friend of mine always told me, he was like, it takes years of training. It takes like, you can't just do it. I was like, no, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to sign up. And at that time I was like in boxing. So I was like, I know I can I can go the distance. One, I didn't prep my body as I should have, but I made it to 24 miles. A short 2 miles.
That's so great.
Yeah. So then I was like, oh, okay. And then I started developing and I started practicing. I started running more and more. Like
The other problem with people, which I think school does a disservice of,
yeah.
is that, in school they have the notion of failure, right? So, oh, you didn't get it right the first time, you failed.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I live for failure, to be honest. The more I fail, to be honest, the more I know I'm getting closer to the win.
If you're always excelling in something, then you're too comfortable. You're way too comfortable.
Yeah.
And you're actually not growing as a person. So everyone's always like, oh, I do this very well. Okay, cool. You make a lot of money doing that. Great. What else are you doing to develop yourself in other ways? And that's one of the reasons I like business, because it's endless development.
It is.
There's no, okay, I'm really good at this. Okay, well, could I hire someone to do that, or hire my weaknesses, or hire my strengths at some point? Because the goal is to hire out completely, even my strengths, even things I'm good at, but then allow me to free up time to go focus on other things too.
Yeah.
Because, when you have a 9 to 5 or something, a lot of those individuals just stay complacent. And they wonder why they get left in the job market, or they wonder why they get left. It's like some of your skills won't be worth anything in the next 10, 20 years, depending on how technology progresses.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people just don't see the bigger picture of life.
And I agree with you. A lot of people, I think that's the problem with today's people, is just they want to be comfortable. They don't want to be uncomfortable.
I'll tell you this, I freak out when I'm comfortable.
I do too.
I freak out. I'm like, all right, I got to learn something new, like ASAP, because something's coming. I may not see it right now, but something's coming where one of these skills that I have is going to be inconsequential.
Yeah. This year for myself, like I felt that more than ever, and I started just diving into different things like coding and all these other business aspects.
You can't go wrong learning.
Yeah.
You can go wrong staying the same,
Yeah.
but you can't go wrong learning.
Yeah. And just to speak about that, like, you run multiple businesses, and you mentioned your brother. Like, is it you, your brother, and who else?
So my property management, it's me, my brother, my father. And then commercial brokerage is just me.
Okay.
That's my own solo. That's over a decade now.
Yeah.
The property management company is newer. It's about 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And then the event company, that's like 2 years old at best. And then some marketing stuff, that's like a year or two old. So.
And they, so there's an old saying, you might disagree. They say you should never work with family.
I highly disagree. I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
But there is some truth in it as well. Just like most things, you can split the concept into multiple different. You should never work with a family that you don't like. If you don't like them, it's going to be difficult. Me and my brother and my father are very good at compartmentalizing.
Okay.
So, like, let's say we get into a heated conversation, okay, cool. We all got in a heated conversation. We're all pissed off at each other, but we can have dinner together when it's all in its own box. It's a way. Yeah. We have dinner together or have a drink together. We don't need to discuss it. We know what it is. Let's just chit chat and have a good couple laughs right now.
Yeah.
The other beauty too is, not beauty, one of the problems I would say that notion breeds is that a lot of the skills that your family develops aren't passed down.
Expand. What do you mean by that?
So my dad's a great coder.
Okay.
He's also great at managing robotics teams and other. I don't really have all those skills quite. When he could have passed them down to me. However, I developed other skills that are far better currently than being the world's best software engineer or the world's best X, Y, and Z. Or I developed skill sets that are more in line with what I want to do. But at a young age, if he would have taught me all those things, I'd probably be even more wildly successful than I am now.
Yeah.
Because I'd be more technically inclined. And so one of the problems is these dads or these moms learn these skills and they don't pass them down. But when they own a family company, those skills do get passed down. When you get spread to the winds and work for different companies, you don't necessarily pass those skills down.
Yeah.
So I think family companies are one of the most undermined thing in the entire world. It also teaches you how to be mad at someone you love, be completely pissed off, and still love them anyway. It teaches you a lot of different things. How to communicate even when things aren't going correctly, without being completely like, I want to rip your head off. It teaches you a lot of different things than just the skills being passed down.
Yeah. I say that's very well said. As someone that works in corporate America and that works in a very high level, like meetings with I'm in meetings with very high individuals. Like, it does get heated like that, to the point where like you want to tear each other's head off. But like, I had to develop the skill of like not taking it personal.
It's even more difficult when it's your brother or your father. Like, we all get into heated conversations.
Yeah, and now that you said that, I think about it. I'm like, I did have some heated conversations with my brother where we did want to tear each other's head off, but we like put it aside. Yeah, like we held on to it for a bit, but like we put it aside.
You may hold on to it for a little bit, but you get better at like turning the leaf faster. Because is it conducive to the next step we have to make? It's not.
Yeah. And then speaking of that, like, did you go to college at all? Or?
I did. I did not graduate though.
You did not?
No.
Okay. How many years did you go?
2.5.
2.5? What were you going for?
Finance predominantly.
Finance. Okay, you were going to be a finance bro.
You could say finance bro, but I had the idea I was already going to start my own company.
Oh, okay.
I was more or less doing college for my parents come from my lineage is pretty studious. You know, some of them have PhDs. My cousin's working on his PhD. Yeah. They come from very, like, college was like, you're not going to college? Like, what?
Yeah. No, my family from my dad's side is similar. Like,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So when I told them, I finally like, I'm done, not going back. But I got my real estate license the same time.
Okay.
So I had a plan, and my parents were always pretty cool, and they knew I probably wasn't destined for college. Yeah. Not because I wasn't smart, just because I just don't like people telling me what to do. Everyone tries to put your limitations on you. I just never saw the world as a limiting place. Yeah. Never saw it that way. Like, oh, you can't do that because you don't have this. I'm like, why can't I? There's a workaround. There's always a workaround. Yeah. There's always a way to go about something.
There is. When there's a will, there's a way.
And when there's a will, there's a way. There's also a lawyer on the way too. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just I think a lot of the conditioning that people take on at a young age from school. Because I mean, if you go to school, right? What did everyone tell you? You need a college degree. You need a college degree. You hear that every year, everywhere. And I just never cared. I knew I didn't need a degree to do anything I wanted to do. Now, if I want to be a doctor, sure. You know, lawyer, sure. But those things never really interest me. Science interests me, but those things don't really interest. The law interests me, but they never it never made sense why I would go into those careers.
Oh, okay.
Never made sense.
Speaking of science, like what part of science? Like what specific science?
I like quantum physics a lot.
Oh, it's quantum physics. Okay, I'm more of I like space and astronomy. And
quantum physics is all.
Yeah.
Like space astronomy is a part of quantum physics.
Yeah.
I like knowing why the world works the way it does.
Okay.
It's a very useful tool.
Yeah. Have you read a lot of books on quantum physics, or?
I have, but it's been quite some time because I've been heavy set focused on business. However, I still read quantum physics in my, relaxing time.
Okay. You said business. Like what books have it? Like what are 3 of the most influential books on business that have you read?
It's a good question. It's probably been a decade since I've read any of them, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
The exact names off the top of my head, but I can give you a book that I enjoyed thoroughly.
Okay. Which one is it?
But it's not a business book. I'll tell you it. The book that I enjoyed that kind of, I would say, reinforced and solidified my thinking was The Biology of Belief.
Biology of Belief. Okay. Why is that?
It's a book about how your molecules in your body change to your thoughts. So one of the biggest finds of, I think, the 21st century is that your thoughts obviously create reality. So if you have bad thinking,
then you're gonna
bad things happen to you.
Yeah.
I've always subconsciously known. That's why I said solidified my thinking. But the most negative people I always found out have the worst shit happen to them for some reason. Most positive, optimistic. Now, it doesn't mean that I prepare for the worst case scenario. I always prepare for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I keep my thinking like living in the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like some people do, and I don't know how you could live that way. You probably have gray hair, you know. I don't have gray hair. Doesn't mean bad things don't happen to me. I just react differently. What's the old phrase where it's like, life is 5% what happens to you and 95% your attitude towards it.
Yeah.
So it's huge. I mean, it's true. You know, if you're going to have big problems, you need to be calm when you have big problems.
Yeah. And then what do you do to reinforce that? Like, because, you know, some days, you know, everyone
things can
has
change.
things can change.
You can get in a pessimistic day. You know,
Yeah.
like, everything's going wrong. It's all going to end.
Yeah. And especially like, you know, we're both in an industry where it's business, client focused. So like, you know, some days like a client could probably like hit a button, like, you know, and turn, you know, you just turn a bad day. It turns a good day into a bad day.
I've ripped a client's head off before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
And how does that?
I fired him.
You fired him.
Yeah.
And if I may add, like, what does it take for you to fire a client? You seem like a pretty, like stable, like you're a very chill guy. Like I think it would take a lot for you to.
It does take a lot.
Yeah.
I've always had two modes, realistically. I'm either very laid back,
Yeah.
you know, methodical. It takes a lot for me to get to that point. But at some point, I'm like, when I start doing the math in my head and my time and my energy, and then it's, okay, well, some people you just can't help.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much you're doing for them, they're just helpless.
Yeah.
And so this person to me was helpless.
Gotcha.
It didn't matter if it was me managing his estate or someone else. I can't help the helpless.
Yeah.
If you don't want to help yourself to some degree, you know, and on top of that, you know, negative energy is sticky.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like, you know, start to wake up and then I'd get a call from like, oh, fuck, I get anxiety. Oh my God, this guy again. What is the problem now? And so it's sticky. And so once I woke up enough with like anxiety from his calls or something,
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was time.
Gotcha.
Because usually most people don't get to me.
Okay.
But if I wake up and I start feeling anxiety or something because I take this call more than 3 times, probably out.
Okay. And how does that conversation go? Like, because one, I've had similar conversations, and they're not easy. I always like have to prep and like literally pump myself up in the mirror and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna say. Like, sorry, we can't, you know, due to the contract or due to the legal.
To me, it's
issue.
easy.
It's easy.
Yeah, I've fired people.
Yeah.
It's not. The first fire is hard.
The first fire is not okay.
But then you sort of think about it. Okay, they're not doing well here. They probably subconsciously know that,
Mm-hmm.
even though they don't know that. So do I just let them, you know, struggle for eternity here? Or do I break them free and allow them to go find a new job? So it's just a way of looking at it.
Okay.
Same with a client. It's like, okay, I can't fit your needs. I don't know who could fit your needs, but it surely is not me.
Yeah.
It's definitely not me. I don't work this way.
Mm.
So you may find someone who will cater to everything that you want. And good for you if you do find that. I think it'll be very difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm a pretty easy guy to work with most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I do have my own moments where I'm like, no, that's non-negotiable or that's not happening.
Mm.
But that's you have to have your boundary or your, otherwise people walk all over you.
Yeah. What is one of the, like, because you said boundaries and like, you know, you have your limits, like what is kind of like an example? Can you provide an example of like an out of boundary or a wild kind of ask from you?
A wild ask. I don't know if I have a wild ask.
Like from a client? Like that just didn't seem reasonable.
It's more my time.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's some clients like I like talking to on Sunday. Because we brainstorm new ideas, new stuff's happening. Fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, if you come to me with all these list of laundry room problems, dude, that's a Monday problem. This ain't a Sunday problem. Like, let's keep it very simple.
Yeah.
Sundays for brainstorming, having a good time and not worrying about, you know, we got problems we can handle on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
So when clients come to me with a slew of problems or whatever, they feel like they're experiencing. That's the worst. They feel like they're experiencing. I go look at the numbers. I'm like, you're not experiencing anything. It's all in your own head, and that's another problem too. Some people get delusional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people are just delusional, and you just can't.
You can't help them. Like
They'll suck your time. They're like an abyss of time sucking, and your positive energy will start to fade, and you'll start to get into their negativity, and you'll start getting negative. So there's no, I would say, there's no like, here's the line.
Mm-hmm.
The line is what you determine it is.
Okay.
How you feel about it. Like, and we're making one guy a lot of money, and man, he like lost shit over like coffee pods not being perfect. And I was like, you're calling me on a Sunday because the coffee pods aren't to the exact specification of what you want when you're making X, Y, and Z per month? And he was like, yeah, well, like, you're helpless. You're helpless, legitimately helpless. You're going to ruin. I was like, if you don't stop this, I'm going to fire you as a client.
And how do you respond?
Got even more ridiculous.
Okay.
Started screaming at me, and I'm like, look, dude, don't have time for this. You're fired. See you later.
And that's out. Okay.
Yeah, because you're worried about a coffee pod that costs 99 cents. We're making you $28K a month. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you fired a big client. I'm like, I get big clients all the time. What do you mean? You think you're bigger because I make you money?
Yeah.
Bigger than another client that I could take on? Also, it frees up my time to go focus on other things too, not having a client.
Speaking of clients, how many clients do you manage right now?
26 different entities on the HOA side. So HOAs are nonprofits, most of them. Some of them are for-profit. So 26 different entities.
Nonprofit? What do you mean by nonprofit?
Yeah, homeowner associations are usually nonprofit organizations.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
They run like a business.
Okay.
HOA is a whole different category. Most people don't even no clue what that even homeowner association even means.
I just know they're the ones that if you live in a neighborhood, your grass is not cut to a certain... Yeah, no, I know that part, like the strict rule.
Yeah, but most people don't know the internal operations.
And what are their internal operations?
That's a whole long podcast.
Okay, part 2 maybe. Okay, part 3 maybe. Let's see.
Then we manage for another, I don't know, short-term rental's interesting because it's like half, or like, I'd say probably say another 25 entities.
Okay.
When I say entities, I mean like trusts, corporations, LLCs, good mix. Long-term, another 20 plus. Another midterm, another 10 plus, which is midterm rentals, like corporate rentals.
Okay.
At least a lot of corporations. Commercial, a few. Wedding event spaces, a few. So it's a good mix.
And then how do you manage that time? Like do you like sit down Sunday and like schedule out your entire week, or do you sit down Saturday? Like how do you manage that? Because you're managing a lot of like clients, a lot of meetings. Your calendar must be crazy.
I don't like meetings.
You don't like meetings?
No, don't like them.
So are you the type of person like Mark Cuban where he's like, if it can be done in email, like send me an email. I'd rather be...
No, I don't like emails either.
You don't? Okay.
No.
What's your preference then?
My preference is an equation of speed to action.
Okay.
Communication to action.
Okay.
I don't like meetings and I don't like emails. I especially don't like emails. I'll take a meeting over an email.
Okay.
I don't like emails because people have these like long, methodical, like, well, I'm like, let's just hop on a call, knock this out real quick.
Okay.
This could be done in 5 minutes versus this back and forth nonsense on this email where I have to be too professional or something, which I'm not professional when it comes to emails. I'm like, yes, no, maybe later. Moving on. It's just too much time. I value time and energy as the highest.
Okay. So do you prefer like, I guess, phone calls then?
I prefer phone calls. No, not out of the blue phone calls.
But like scheduled phone calls?
Yeah, scheduled phone calls.
Okay. What about text messages?
Text is cool. You can text me.
Okay.
Because that's also my time to read it or not.
Yeah.
But if you start getting in paragraph mode, I don't read them. I don't read them.
Okay.
I really don't. There's no time to read them.
Yeah.
You want me to sit there and read it? You can send me like a couple sentences, cool. But most things can be handled pretty quickly in a 5-minute call.
Okay. you're very busy. What do you like to do in your free time?
Hang out with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
and then we travel a good amount.
Yeah.
But travel also gives me new ideas. I love traveling she loves it for other reasons.
Yep.
I love it for new ideas.
Gotcha.
I've traveled a lot of different places every time. My family was, wealthy enough to go on a summer vacation and a winter vacation.
Europe or like here in the States?
We'd always be outside the States. My mom has a big thing about never going to the same place twice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Unless it's snowboarding. That's a different story.
That's not, you know how to snowboard?
Oh, yeah.
I know how to ski. I do I grew up in Minnesota, so I do like the pretzel and then the pizza. Not the pretzel, I forget what it's called, but like you slide it to the side.
Yeah, I wasn't a skier. My brother's a skier, but yeah, no, I was a very good snowboarder when I was younger. I did a lot of double black diamonds when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
Now I can't do them, or maybe I could do them. I just don't care to because it doesn't really.
I was about to say it gets very, very dangerous if you.
It's just not as fun. I'd rather just cruise and maybe do a jump here and there.
Okay.
The double black diamonds take a lot of technical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm there to have fun these days, not to be like, all right, I got to be the best.
Yeah.
So.
When was the last time you went snowboarding?
2 years ago.
2 years
I was
ago?
in Snowbird, Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utah's very beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I love that state. Speaking about that, though, I think I saw like a couple months ago you went deep sea fishing, if I remember correctly.
In Michigan.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, you can call it a sea.
Yeah.
The lake is as big as a sea.
Yeah.
As some seas, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah.
You can't see the other side, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, we were just doing salmon fishing in Michigan.
How did that go?
It was good. We caught 4 different things. I was mainly there because my uncle has a huge house over there on Lake Michigan. And so he wanted to come with us for Labor Day. And I was like, why not? Let's go. It's a great time.
Okay, nice.
My family's pretty cool.
They do sound pretty cool based on just hearing from your dad. I used to do robotics and stuff like that. So like right away that caught my interest.
Yeah, he's from the Fortune 500 world.
Nice.
So he worked on all kinds of things.
I would love to hear more about that another time, but we are cutting it close. There are some things I just want to ask you right off the bat. Some
Speedball.
shooters. I'll speedball them.
Let's go.
Terry or Franklin's?
Terry.
Okay, interesting. Best music venue in Austin?
That's a tough one. It's not because I've been to all of them, but to me, it's never really about the music venue, unless you have something that's just crazy one of one, like the Austin Guitar Pool. It's more about who's performing.
Okay.
Because that's what really brings the experience.
I'll agree to that. Agree to that. Last one. ACL or Formula One?
It's a good question. I've been to ACL 10 way more. I've been going since I was like 16 till I was about 26 and I stopped.
Okay.
It's hard to say. I'm not in touch with the music as I once was. So I'd probably say Formula One.
Okay. Did you go this year?
I did not go this year. I had some offers and some very interesting, sweet options, but I decided to take it easy.
Okay.
It's been a busy year for me. So everyone's like, why aren't you going? I'm like, it's just the option's going to be there next year for me too. And sometimes when you're doing a lot of different things, sometimes it's going to take a little breather.
Yeah.
Because people think, it's just going for fun. Like it's a little more than that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity there too. I mean, Joe Rogan was there. One of my friends met Joe Rogan there. There's a lot of different.
Matthew McConaughey was there.
I mean, there's tons of people.
Yeah.
It's a whole circus. Like celebs flying from everywhere, business owners flying from everywhere. It's not like it's just, I'm going to go there and watch. You have to be there and like engaged.
It's an opportunity to network and and meet that one.
If you're buying the ticket to go have fun, you were probably a girl.
I do agree. Okay, I agree with you on that one.
If you're buying the ticket, you need to get your money's worth as a guy.
Yeah.
So I'd rather spend the $7,000 and get a really good ticket and go mingle with those types of individuals than just to go to like watch cars race around a track. Watch that from my nice TV at home,
Yeah.
It relax and not have to deal with the traffic in and out, know. So
I agree with you.
Girls will go there and be like, "It's awesome."
They do it for the post, the Instagram.
They do it for the post and the other
flex.
nonsense.
It's a big old flex.
Yeah. We're there. When I go to like big ticket places like that, I'm like, all right, I got to meet one person here that makes up for the $7,000 deficit I just spent. So that's how I view it.
I respect it. I agree. A lot of events or a lot of bars I go to, I like bougie bars, like the more upper class.
And you've probably been to Powder Room then recently.
Yes, I've been to Powder Room.
Powder Room's cool. They did a good job with the lounge.
Yeah. My goal is always like, who can I meet that I could probably, one is in my industry or someone that's in something I'm passionate or like, podcasting or something that I could get into.
And they don't even need to be in your industry. I've met people who are not even in my industry, but they're just cool people to know.
Yeah, and that's why I met a ton.
You never know when you may need that in your Rolodex.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I always save their number, save their Instagram. I'm like, yeah.
Shoot them a hey, nice to meet you text. Let's get coffee sometime.
Yeah, like I met some people from Google, Tesla.
They're just good contacts.
Yeah.
The fact that you can give them a call or give them a text. It opens a lot more doors because who knows? It may not be today, may not be a year from now.
It'll be one day.
It will be one day that it's like, hey, I know that guy. What's up?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, and that's why I fell in love with Austin. It's just so many unique individuals.
It's a hub of unique individuals. It's kind of like the Silicon Valley, but it's not as tech oriented as people think it is. Yes, there's a lot of tech here, but there's a lot of other individuals, different industries. You just don't hear them about them as much because it's not as big news to the media.
Yeah, I agree. I found that out more as I went out because I originally came here just because I thought it was going to be tech.
Okay.
And I'm in the tech industry.
And you realize there's a lot more than that.
It's a lot different, and I love it. I love everything.
It's not just tech.
Yeah, but that's what convinced me to come here before Dallas. Like then I'm going to be here another year or another 2 years. I don't know.
I can tell you Austin's going to be good for the next 5 years.
I agree.
Can't tell you after that. Don't have that crystal ball.
We'll see though.
Dallas may be the move after the next 5 years.
Yeah, especially with the casino.
Not just the casino, the Texas Stock Exchange.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Do you know much about it? I only read a little bit.
I don't know too much about it. I was just actually talking to one of my friends who I mentioned on this podcast a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
We were discussing it in detail, but I don't know too much of all what's happening. I just know that it's coming.
Yeah.
Is the notion. We predicted some things, but those are predictions and hypotheticals.
Yeah, and I've been keeping a close eye on it just because it's going to be huge here in Austin, in Texas.
It's going to compete with the New York Stock Exchange.
And then the casino, I've been keeping an eye on that as well, waiting to hear.
That'll be interesting.
Because Texas, so I'm from Minnesota. Minnesota, we don't have that many strict rules on gambling. We just
Texas does.
Yeah, and it's so interesting.
It's just the degenerate behavior that it brings.
Okay, that's why. Because there was like a chicken shoot bingo thing that Explore ATX did, and that they were like, because you guys find workarounds too.
There's always workarounds, but when you get to commercial scale, different story.
Okay, so speaking
harder
of
workarounds, the larger it gets, the harder the workaround is.
Okay.
On a micro scale, there's tons of workarounds, no matter what.
So speaking about that, because you did mention it earlier, you did do some at the Freedom Festival. There was a little bit of gambling.
Yeah, but there was no money.
Oh, okay. So explain that, like elaborate, because I did want to ask you that.
Yeah, we just gave people chips to have fun with.
Oh, okay. So like,
yeah, we didn't want to we had other bigger problems that we had to face. I wasn't interested in figuring out the workaround quite yet for that particular piece.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can. I just haven't given too much. With all of what was going on in the 30-day, the crunch time period, it didn't make sense for me to go tackle that.
Oh, okay.
I may tackle it on this next one.
Okay.
But, there's a lot of different things that can be done. I've already researched a few of them.
I look forward to hearing about it because I'm always interested because Texas has the weirdest laws. No, like it does have some of the weirdest laws ever.
Yeah, a lot of it is because of religious stuff, but also it's because of the behavior that brings, that invites that.
Yeah.
So, Texas isn't very interested in, bringing some of that
nonsense.
Yeah, like Vegas, people go there just to gamble and be degenerates the entire time. So Texas isn't really interested in that per se.
Yeah.
You can show them all the money, but Texas makes so much money. It's like, okay, $2 trillion per year? What's another 100, 200 billion for more crime and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
that's why people are like, oh, it's ridiculous. I'm like, it's kind of is, but it's kind of not. It makes a lot of sense at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. And I'm going to be very interested. I look forward to hearing, your workarounds if you do bring gambling.
There's always workarounds.
To the Freedom Festival. And just want to say thank you for your time on appearing on the podcast. Before we end the show, what are your next 3 big projects? If you got any that you can share with us at the moment.
I can tell you one. Currently, I'm negotiating with Taylor Morrison on a big project, 20 plus million.
Okay.
In commercial real estate. And I'm negotiating with another big builder, another top 10 builder.
Top 10 builder?
I can tell you those 2.
Okay. We'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's about all I can say, though.
Well, thank you again, Brett, for appearing on the podcast and redoing it. I know we had some scheduling difficulties, so.
Yeah, I apologize about being late, but
no, you're good. No, man, I had to cancel on you twice or 3 times now.
It's all good.
I appreciate you, being flexible, and yeah, thank you again.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.